Welcome to our August 19th, 2025 Prior Lake Spring Lake Watershed District meeting. And our first action is to call this meeting to order and pledge of allegiance. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our next item is public comment from anybody here who wishes to address the board on any item that's not on our agenda or the consent agenda. Please come forward. And I have not seen anybody at this time, so we're going to move on to item our public hearings for tonight. And our first one is going to be the Order Upper Prior Lake Alum Treatment Project. And who is taking this one from staff? Anybody?
President Loney, do we need to open up the public?
No, okay. I'll open up. We'll need a motion to open up the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Manager Boyle, second by Manager Burnett. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. This public hearing is open.
Okay, thank you. I will be brief, but we'll discuss more at the project ordering portion of this agenda item. The public hearing is a requirement for any capital project before we order it. So at this time, if any public wants to speak, that's what the purpose is.
Are you done? That was it?
Okay.
I missed it. So quick. Okay. Any questions for staff, first of all? Everybody on board with everything here? Is there anybody wishing to speak at the public hearing? And not seeing anybody?
Motion to close the.
Okay, motion by Manager Burnett to close. Second. Second by Manager Boyles to close the public hearing. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so with this, ordering the Upper Prior Lake Alum Treatment Project, we need a motion to adopt Resolution 25-399.
I think that will occur later on the agenda,
Huh?
Manager.
That's later on the agenda.
Yeah,
Oh, it is?
and that's when we'll present.
4.2.
Oh, okay.
This is purely just for public comment.
Okay, so then we'll go to the next public hearing, which would be our budget and levy. We need a motion to open that public hearing. So moved. Moved by Manager Boyles. Second by Manager Morkenberg. Okay. Motion has been made to open public hearing. All in favor, say aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we're second public hearing. I'll pay attention this time.
So President Loney, would you like me to introduce the topic of the budget here or later in the meeting when you vote on it?
Probably do it later. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak on our public hearing? Not seeing anybody? Okay. I need a motion to close the public hearing. So moved. Motion made by Manager Morkenberg. Second by Manager Burnett. All in favor of closing this public hearing on the budget and levy certification, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, well now we have to have a approval of the agenda. That's on our next list. So is there any changes by staff to the agenda? Any changes from board? If not, I need a motion to approve the agenda. I think Manager Burnett got that. Second by Manager Tofinelli. All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we're into programs and projects. Do we want to go to program and project update? Okay, we'll do that first. And staff has the floor for programs and project update.
All right, thank you, President Loney. To start off the projects and programs for the August meeting, I'll talk about lake level graphing. Prior Lake is at 902.87 feet. Spring Lake is at 911 It's been another wet month with the lakes going up and down. An update from the ferric chloride telemetry display. So we've got our tank level sensor working. Our graphing at the ferric chloride weir at the outlet of the Highway 13 wetland. It's in the bottom right quadrant of this display. And so this information's been extremely helpful over the wet summer, and we've got it up and running quite well, and it's been very informative, allowing us to order a chemical and be timely with our dosing. The third and final installment of the lake management session here, I'm going to talk about problem and solution identification and how it's related to adaptive management. So I'll be discussing a little bit about how we use information to help guide decision making and other tools that are at our disposal to help us improve lakes within our watershed. Management planning is a huge component to this adaptive management and lake management. We use our water resources management plan. So the district completed its last one in 2020. They last approximately 10 years. So as part of this planning document, we ask ourselves questions like, what is needed to meet our goals? Well, first we need to establish things to decide what goals should move forward, and we use assessments and studies to do that. We create clear objectives, create measurable targets, we take action, and we define success, and we start that process over again. This involves decision making to whether we want to implement or protect. For example, we've decided to use a tiered ranked system on our lakes. We use tier 1, 2, and 3 lakes. These help provide goals for us to assess, and we use these goals to assess and make determinations based on ecological impact. We involve stakeholders to help guide how our tiers and goals should be decided, and we conduct cost-benefit analysis to help make our decisions. For Lower Prior Lake, which is shown here, we've really, during this current management plan, it's to protect. It's got really good water quality, and we want to keep it like that. But before this current management plan, we really wanted to help improve the water quality on Lower Prior Lake. And to do that, we needed to look at what the external sources of nutrients were. And we used adaptive management to help implement projects to improve Lower Prior Lake. So this involved collecting data. And on the right side here, you can see there's a stream on the south side of Lower Prior Lake that runs through Fish Point Park. It was decided that an iron-enhanced sand filter was a good project to help reduce the amount of phosphorus entering the lake. So that project was ultimately implemented. And on the lower graph, you can see in the blue bars, water entering the lake beforehand had quite a bit higher nutrient level. After the sand filter was installed, we have much lower concentrations. So we monitored a storm event, as you can see in that graph above, And we analyzed all this data over this time period, and we can assess the effectiveness, and we can show that the reduction in total phosphorus was indeed successful. So this was a good project to implement, and now we're assessing its effectiveness long term. We know that sand filters can use and need maintenance over the life of the project. So this is an example of adaptive management and how we can help improve our lake water quality. So in conclusion, lake management involves problem and solution identification, and that's exactly what the watershed here is doing. So next, we'll just keep going back to our monitoring, assessments, and surveys, and redetermine what's the best use of our resources. Over the last month, the outlet structure operations have been quite busy for us staff. Each one of these rises in the blue graph below represents a date and time when the outlet structure was cleared manually of vegetation. So this can be at least daily. So that outlet structure, when water is really flowing, gets clogged up and can reduce the amount of flow exiting the lake. So it's important for us to keep an eye on when it's getting clogged up, and we can easily tell that by our sensors. So our sensors are also set up to send staff an alarm when water levels drop below a certain period on the inside of the structure, and that'll alert us to go out there and clean it off. We've also had help from lake volunteers, so appreciate anybody helping us out. At the end of July, we opened the low gate for about 7 days, and in making that decision, we were evaluating watershed conditions, and I'll talk about that in the next couple slides. So, for example, how do we know when to open the low gate? We've been working with our engineer to help provide guidance, and this is just an early stage of what that guidance looks like. So shortly after last month's board meeting, this area received in upwards of over 3 inches of rain. So that sort of sets staff's alert. All right, we should maybe consider focusing on what efforts are needed to tell how much water is coming through the system, and whether we need to take action opening the low gate to help provide additional exit outletting capacity. Well, first, after that rain event occurred, we'll go and look at the lake level. So it had jumped up to 902.91. As you recall, last month, the lake was at 902.59. So it jumped up pretty significantly with that 3+ inches of rain. The district has worked with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to help set up a 7-day precipitation forecast. So we can hop on the NOAA website and review what the 7-day forecast is. This was specifically built for our region. The link to this website is within our monitoring page on our website, so anybody can access this. So you can see on that date, or on the date, there was upwards of over an inch of rain forecasted. This was July 16th, from the date after that precipitation event occurred. We're working with our engineers to develop a modeled approach to help guide outlet structure operations. And as part of this, we need to determine whether our soil conditions are average dryness or wet dryness. So if conditions are dry and we get all this rain, that rain isn't all going to flush down the system as fast as it would if it was wet. So we'll use cumulative rainfall. So what this is showing, this green line is what the accumulation is over this time period. It's not showing the full accumulation with these black dots, but if we use another station, we'll see that the accumulation is above normal, and we can consider this a wet period. We'll use our outlet structure operations rainfall guidance document here, this graph, to help more or less predict whether or not the lake is what its response is to certain rain events. So we look at what the current lake condition was. We use our current rainfall, predictive rainfall, and then what these hypothetical events are to help estimate where the lake might be under the right conditions. And this allows us to make informed decisions. So during this mid-July rain event, we looked at this, and it showed that the lake was not going to respond to be up and above ordinary high water level. So, we didn't take action. But later, and at the end of July, our predicted rainfall and modeled results show that the lake might get near this 904, and we took action by opening the low gate for 7 days. And the predictive rain doesn't always pan out to be what it is, but we like to take a safe approach, prevent flooding on the lake. So these are some of the tools we use to manage the outlet structure. We'll continue to build on these tools and help use our engineers to make good informed guidance that the district can use on Prior Lake.
So we had two outreach events since our last board meeting. We had our Carp Carnival to celebrate our success on Upper Prior Lake and reducing below our population goal for common carp. We had many activities for attendees, from carp printing. We displayed our monitoring equipment and demonstrated how many pieces work for water quality monitoring. We had a game to demonstrate pit tags, which are used to track carp, as well as our radio trackers, another method of tracking carp movement. We also had a race with some different nets we used to capture carp and a measuring board, kind of going through the process of how we capture carp and what we do with them after. And we also had a game to teach how we completed our population estimate to determine that we met our goal. Attendance was a bit lower than we hoped. It was very hot that day. The event was at the beach, so I think most people wanted to be in the water, but the people that made it to our stations seemed to really enjoy learning about our program. So I think it was a success. Some of these activities might be translated to some tabling events in the future or other outreach events. We also completed the annual Starry Trek, which is a statewide initiative searching for aquatic invasive species, specifically starry stonewort. It's led by the Minnesota Invasive Species Research Lab, as well as the DNR. So we're just one of many completing a search for invasive species. We actually held ours a day after most of the state due to rain on the 9th, so we held it on Sunday the 10th. We had 5 attendees, so a couple people could not make the rain date, but pretty typical attendance for this event, if not a little bit higher than normal. We sampled Upper Prior Lake, Lower Prior Lake, Spring Lake, Fish Lake, Cedar Lake, and McMahon Lake, so a couple from outside of our district within Scott County. And I will not give any specific results, so the program will release statewide results, but things are looking pretty good. I'll just leave it at that. And the attendees said that they enjoyed participating, so that was good. Also, coming up in the future on September 15th, so just before our next board meeting, we will be participating in the Fall Community Fest again this year. So in the past, we've talked about chloride pollution. We plan to talk about it again this year. It's been well received at the Fall Community Fest. We see typically pretty good turnout. A lot of people come to this event, and people are always interested to learn about safe salting on their own properties. A lot of people surprised how little salt you really need to de-ice your sidewalks and driveways. So we will be doing that again this year. We usually have some Citizen Advisory Committee members help out with that, and I believe we will again this year as well. Any questions?
I just wanted to say I attended that carp carnival, and I found that very fun and educational. And I mean, it was just really a neat way they presented everything. So it's too bad more people didn't participate, but like you said, it was a hot day and they wanted to get to the lake and not participate. But it was really well done, so I appreciate what you did there.
Yeah, we tried to, with the Carp Carnival, really kind of encapsulate all the different parts of the management program. So
Yeah.
I think we did pretty well.
It was good.
Thank you, Bruce.
Any other questions from the board? No? We're going to do a project status update.
So we will be talking about 4 ongoing projects, and I will start with the Spring West Iron Enhanced Sand Filter, an update on that. So we have been pursuing an easement in the Spring Lake West watershed for quite some time. We have made a big step. We have an easement signed by both parties, and we are just waiting to get a recorded original copy of that. But it has been a big step to get it signed. It's been a long time coming. Next steps will be a scope of work from EOR. You should see that in most likely the next board meeting, and that will be for final design. We'd like to see that in early 2026. That way we can be competitive for grant funding for this project, and we believe this project will be very competitive for grant funding for construction.
It's a big win, Danielle. I'll touch on the few other ones. Just wanted to give you an update on our ferric chloride system improvements. Our goal here was to get it to be safe and operational. It's a big powerhouse reducing nutrients for us. So we did complete the last item in the building. We replaced the pressure switch valve, which essentially it's a requirement from our MnDOT permit and alerts us if there's a clog or a leak in the system. So that is great. We got cutting edge technology. This type of high and low valve just came out this year. So that was really great. We only knew of it because of the consultant that's been helping UR and us work our way through this process. Much streamlined. And then, so that is the last piece on the building. And then the driveway contract will be completing their punch list hopefully later this week, and we'll be closing out both of those anticipated this month or next with the paperwork in hand. So a long time coming, but a good update and running really well. On the other end of, Manager Morkberg, do you have a question?
Yes, if I could also, first of all, compliment you on the Spring Lake West project there, and then, but also on the Iron Court facility improvement and how you have been able to manage all the different things that have to be solved and still sort of meeting the timeline of starting the iron chloride treatment almost on time. So that was a big accomplishment. So thank you.
Thank you, Manager.
Yep.
So on the other end of the project spectrum, we are just starting swamp iron enhanced sand filter. Our contract is out for signatures now. We'll have a pre-construction meeting later this week, and they anticipate beginning next Monday, August 25th. So things are coming together quickly. This project, as I mentioned, will be unique in that its grant has inclusion of outreach components. So we're going to be leaning in that direction a little more than we normally would for a capital project, but we'll get some really cool products out of it. So to give you an idea of what's coming, next year once it's constructed, we'll have a public tour. The district purchased a time-lapse camera, which was surprisingly affordable, and we'll be having some time-lapse footage of the construction we can use on our website and for other products. We are contracting with local filmmakers to make a very short film kind of talking about the downstream benefits of the project and what it means for water quality. And as well as we'll have an even shorter social media, they call it like a real 30-second video that kind of explains to the public in a comprehensible way of what an iron enhanced sand filter is. We're going to try and make it fun, have a couple different formats, and I think it's really neat to have a grant that emphasizes this. It'll be beneficial to the district to have them. Another project closing out is the Prior Lake outlet pipelining. So the lining was completed in beginning of May. The site restoration has now been deemed complete. The MPCA payment for that, the bulk of the cost of the pipelining, is expected to hit our bank accounts later this week. So that'll be great for our cash flow. And then the final pay request for the site restoration and retainage will likely be at the September board meeting. And then I'll submit grant invoicing and probably close out for that at the same time. So this project was quick. And lastly, I just wanted to give an update. Manager Toffanelli touched on this at the workshop as well, but the Scott Soil and Water Conservation District obtained some new federal funds that are available for cover crops and low-till, no-till options for conservation farming practices. And essentially what it will do is the way the program works is it will incentivize new farmers. So there's a ranking system, and new farmers are more likely to receive this extra boost of money. It'll also allow our local dollars towards those things to go farther. So it's a really good thing for us at the Watershed District. And very cost effective. Yep. Any questions?
Any questions? Christian?
Yes, so so those two programs are, I believe, also some of the most popular and effective approaches to use for lake-friendly farming.
Yes.
So it's excellent that they received more money for it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes, and although our program has been running for some time, it's been very exciting to see no-till has been slower to adopt, and this year we've had more no-till acres enrolled. We also have seen county-wide with this federal funding more new farmers for the first time signing up. So It just got released to our farmers because we had to talk about it at the farmer-led council meeting, but I anticipate some new activity. So,
Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Good job. We are going to move on then to item 4.2, which is now the Upper Prior Lake Alum Treatment Phase 2 project ordering. And I believe Emily is going to take this.
I am. I just put my slides out of order, so I'm going to just move those right to the right place before taking you back. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so we held the public hearing portion of this capital project statutory requirement. Now it requires that the board orders the project. And so to provide you background on the public benefit of this project, we're talking about the Upper Prior Lake alum treatment. It'll be phase 2. The first dose, or phase 1, was completed in 2020. They were intended to be in series to each other. In the first dose in 2020, we received a grant from Bowser, and that actually requires us to complete the second dose. We contracted with EOR to complete sediment cores earlier this year to analyze how that first treatment worked and recommend when and how to do the second treatment. Those cores were analyzed, and EOR submitted a technical memo which recommended a second treatment in 2026. The district has been funding an alum reserve each year, and so this project would be funded through that, as well as some levy, I believe. The benefit of an alum treatment is to address internal loading to Upper Prior Lake, which is impaired for nutrients. With that, I'll take any questions, and I'll say the proposed action is a motion to adopt Resolution 25-399, ordering the Upper Prior Lake alum treatment Phase 2 project.
Okay. Any questions? I think Manager Boyles, you have a question?
I'd move the resolution 25-399 ordering the Upper Prior Lake alum treatment Phase 2 project.
Is there a second? Second by Manager Morkenberg. Okay. With that, we can have discussion on the motion, if there's any. I see we have Ann Williamson here, but she's just here to take any questions if necessary.
If you have any hard questions for me, they'll become hard questions for Ann.
All right. I think we're all ready to vote on this, I'm pretty sure. So with not seeing any more discussion or hearing any, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. So then we're going to move on to 4.3, which is EOR scope of service, Upper Prior Lake alum treatment assistance.
Yep.
And I believe, yeah, there's just a motion needed for that. Okay. I think we don't need a presentation, I guess. Emily, we're ready to vote.
Okay, great. So this decision making is just breaking down each decision point, and what we are recommending here is to contract EOR for the engineering services associated with the Upper Prior Lake alum treatment Phase 2. They conducted the soil coring, provided the technical memo, which has the dose rates. And so this scope of work would approve bid administration, permitting, and project oversight for the actual treatment itself. With that, staff recommends a motion to approve EOR scope of services for Upper Prior Lake alum treatment assistance and to authorize the district administrator enter into change orders in an aggregate amount not to exceed $1,992 or 10% of the contract not to exceed.
Anybody, I think, Christian, did you want to make that motion?
I would make that.
Okay, motion by Manager Morkenberg,
Second.
Second by Manager Boyles. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so now we're up to, is it 4.4? Upper Prior Lake Alum Treatment Authorization to solicit bids.
Okay. So this decision is to seek authorization for going out to bids on the Prior Lake Alum Phase 2 treatment. The recommendation is to treat in early spring 2026 for lake access and to just seek the ideal lake conditions. In order to do that, there's really only one known contractor who does treatments. We would want to get on their schedule early. And so we are seeking authorization to bid today so that we can get a competitive bid. We do need to do the competitive bidding process due to the project cost. Anything over $275,000 requires us to do this, even if there is only one known entity. Another thing that is unique about this is unlike a built project where you would have construction plans that you would be reviewing right now, the alum treatment is pretty simple. What you've seen in the technical memo is most of the content that you would see in bid plans. The dosing rates are there on the screen and in the technical memo, and the map of the application area is the same as in 2020, as well as on this screen. So that is what would be in the bid package. If we were approved to seek bids today, you would see authorization to award a contract at the October board meeting, and that would allow us to keep on schedule for treatment next spring. So with that, staff recommends a motion to authorize solicitation of competitive bids for the Upper Prior Lake Alum Treatment Phase 2 project with any further non-substantive changes on advice of engineering and legal counsel.
Okay, anybody want to make that motion? Motion by Manager Morkenberg.
Second.
Second by Manager Tofinelli. He got you. All right. Any discussion? Manager Morkenberg.
Yes, so the question I have is, there is two colored here, a yellow and a green. The yellow, is that the deeper portion of the lake? Yep.
Yes.
Thank you.
I had not really a question, but a comment. I'm glad you explained the process that we're using for going out for bids now, because normally we have to approve plans and advertise for bids. But since our report is essentially the plan, we can go ahead and do that. So appreciate you making that explanation. And even though we're going out for competitive bids, it sounds like we only have one bidder. So that's really another comment I wanted to make. It does seem funny that there's not another potential bidder, but maybe, possible? Is there somebody else out there? Okay.
There are some smaller operations, but usually capacity for a large project like this.
Okay, all right.
Source.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion, comments? Not seeing or hearing any. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, 5-0. Now, we're going to go to the 2026 Levy and Budget Certification, Resolution 25-400. And Jody's going to take it?
President Loney and managers. So the budget in front of you includes approximately $109,000 increase in the proposed levy over 2025, which is a 5.35% increase from the 2025 levy. Based on this proposed levy amount, the effective tax rate would be 0.04% higher than the effective tax rate in 2025. The budget is, 83% of the budget is directed towards projects and programs, and basically, the bulk of where we're spending our time and effort. Another 5.6% of the budget is directed towards the district's contribution for the operations and maintenance and special projects for the Prior Lake Outlet Channel. The budget also includes a spend down of district reserves, which account for over 40% of the proposed 2026 budget. The budget also includes the proposed alum treatment that Emily was just talking about. And so the district has been funding and building up an alum reserve over the last 5 years. And those funds that we have accumulated over the years are now enough to fund that project, along with a small levy proposed for 2026. Budget also assumes that the district may need to go out to do bonding in 2027 for some upcoming capital projects. So the budget includes a contribution to a budget reserve fund that we've been building up over a couple of years to help ease us into making bond payments if they become necessary in 2027. Also, the district is considering taking on the role of drainage authority for County Ditch 13. A key component for taking on this role would be the creation of a watershed management district, which would be the function as the primary funding source for that county ditch. So the 2026 budget includes an estimated levy funds that would be needed to establish that watershed management district. So after the approval of a proposed budget here in September and certification of that amount of that levy to the county, the district can come back and reduce the amount of levy but cannot increase it from this point forward. So the staff recommends that the managers make a motion to adopt Resolution 25-400, certifying the 2026 Administrative and Metropolitan Water Management Tax Levy in the amount of $2,156,000, and adopting the 2026 budget in the amount of $3,988,456.
Okay, thank you. And somebody want to make get this on the table, a motion for adopting Resolution 25-400? Made by Manager Morkenberg. Second by Manager Tofinelli. I would just like to say, just so for the public knowledge, that we have been working on this for several months, several discussions. We've had several workshops on this, so it's a work that we've done over the last few months, and looking at all the things that we're trying to do, getting our budgets reserved down. We've been taking on the task of County Road Ditch 13 and some other things that have come our way, but for the most part, it's a pretty reflective budget on meeting the goals and desires of our district, especially on our projects. We're trying to get those budget reserves and use them, which we will be doing in 2026. So just want the public to know that. We've been working on this for the last few months, and very good job by Administrator Gacy putting this together and pulling all the numbers together and making sense of it. Sometimes can't make sense of some of this, but it does make sense. Any other questions or comments? None? Manager Morkenberg.
Yes, I would also mention that the Citizen Advisory Committee has also been part of giving feedback on our budget.
Okay, so it's a team effort. Okay, any other discussions? No discussions? Okay, all in favor of Resolution 25-400, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And now we're going to go to 4.6, which is the CAC recommendation, a contribution to Spring Lake Park signs. And I think Danielle is going to take this.
Yes, so Spring Lake Township presented a request to the Citizen Advisory Committee at the Watershed District for assistance in payment for new signs at Raymond Park that go over rules and also amenities. We've worked with the township and the city in the past on restorations at Raymond Park. And so discussion occurred throughout 2025 with the township on the topic of the signs. And in July, the CAC recommended that the Board of Managers approve a contribution of $150 to Spring Lake Township for the purpose of printing new park signage.
Very good. We did discuss this at our workshop. So anybody want to make that motion to approve a contribution of $150 to Spring Lake Township? Motion by Manager Tofinelli. Second by Manager Morkenberg. Any more discussion on the motion? No. I think we've discussed it enough at the workshop. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 5-0. Okay, we're going to go to the treasurer's report now with Manager Morkenberg, our treasurer.
Yes, thank you. Yep, so the financial report in the general fund, if you look at it, you can see that the administrative salaries and benefits are running high at 80%, and that's due to the administrative assistant transition and also new administrative assistant training period that was not fully budgeted for. Overall, however, the salaries and benefits are within budget, as our program salaries in the implementation fund is at 50%. So it is all in order. Other items are within budget. And one thing to note, if you look at the claims list this month here, is there's which we will be approving later, but there is going to be a large quarterly invoice from the Scott Soil and Water Conservation District. And so next month, when we look at our financial statements, we'll see that reflected there. But again, it's reflecting all the work that we do together with SWCD, which we highly appreciate and makes a big difference. If you look at the cash flow statements, they also indicate that we'll have adequate cash available for fund operations through the end of the year. And as we discussed last month here, the cash flow shows negative values in the restricted funds, and that's due to the payment of the PLOC pipelining project. And we heard here that the reimbursement from the MPCA grant might be coming this coming week here. So that will be wonderful. And once those funds are received in a month or two, the restricted fund should return to a positive balance. Yep. Next month, the cash flow statement will be revised so that it goes through June 2026. So that's a newer thing where we're trying to go like almost a year ahead in our cash flow projections. And consistent with the increased activity in our programs and projects this year, the cost associated with program and project consultants and contractors make up 41% of the current year expenditures, and that's high if we compare it to last year. So last year, as an example, at this time of year, it was 25%. This is a good thing. It means we are active. We're doing a lot of projects, and thank you to our staff. Outstanding. And there's a line item in hard costs, and what that reflects is the recent acquisition of Spring Lake West Iron Enhanced Sand Filter Project easement. So that's a big win. Literally, this has been, I think, on the horizon, like we are going to do that for 20 years, and you did it, so congratulations. And I think that completes the
Good report.
Financial report.
Any questions for Christian? Okay, it's such a good job, there's no question.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so now we're at the point of consent agenda is considered one item of business, routine administrative items, not requiring discussion. Items can be removed from the consent agenda at the request of the board member, staff member, or member of the audience. On our consent agenda, we have meeting minutes of July 15th board workshop and board meeting, meeting minutes May 29th of the CAC meeting, claims list and bank purchase credit or card expenditures, and then we do have a resolution 25401 amending the 2025 budget to establish a 401 general fund 710 office expense other budget line item. Is there anybody, if there's none to be removed, I believe, by staff, none by mayor, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Manager Burnett. Second by Manager Tofinelli. There's no discussion on this, so all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And the upcoming meeting and event schedule by Manager Vice President Boyles.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. For September, there are a number of meetings as usual, starting with a PLOC, Cooperators meeting this Thursday, August 21st at noon in the Parkview Conference Room. Board of Managers workshop for September is September 16th. It's a Tuesday, of course, beginning at 4 p.m., also in the Parkview Conference Room with the actual Board of Managers September meeting, same date, September 16, a Tuesday, commencing at 6 p.m. in this City Council chambers. And the final meeting for the month is the Citizen Advisory Committee, CAC meeting. That will be conducted Thursday, September 21st, commencing at 6 p.m., but that will be conducted at City Hall here, but downstairs in the Wagon Bridge Conference Room. And that concludes the meetings for the month of September.
Okay, well, very good. Well, we're at the point where we can adjourn the meeting if we want. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Manager Morkenberg. Second by Manager Tofinelli. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, 5-0. Good night, everybody.
Good night.